guys, some of you will know that I've decided that this case, Sean Daugherty, needs to be seen. People really need to understand that there seems to be a huge miscarriage of justice here. And we see it far, far too much. And I looked at this case after several of you come forward and you were saying, look at this case. And I have. And over the next few days, I will be going through the posts and details given specifically by the family themselves. This is a first-hand account of what happened on the day and the days that followed. For those of you who do not know about this case, I have now formed a playlist so you can go back and you can check out the previous videos. If you haven't seen any videos up to now, pause this video, go back to the playlist, watch the two that precede this, and then come back and finish this video. So I'm going to take you through it now. And once I've gone through them all, we'll take some time together and we shall go over it and see what we can find. If I have to, I will personally put a private investigator into this case. I'm in contact with one of the family members. I'm sure that they will be fine with that, and that's what we'll do. So let's go ahead and read this. Please bear in mind there is a trigger warning to all of these accounts. As Ramona was driving home from the appointment, Maria called to say that Sean wasn't opening the door. She told Maria to call him. He was probably gaming upstairs with his brother. Oddly enough, all of the traffic lights were green on the way home, except the last one. As she sat by the light, a fire engine and an emergency pickup truck came blazing past, and she suddenly felt ill. She muffled under her breath, "Please don't turn right." But they did. She sped up and watched them take the next right into her neighbourhood. She thought, "Please God, don't let them be at my house." The siren stopped and she couldn't see the vehicles anymore. She turned left onto her lane and saw them all in front of her house. Ramona threw her SUV into park, told Vija she was going in, and ran towards the backyard. They had an entrance on each side of the house, but the one on the right was never used. In fact, from the road you couldn't tell it was a gate because the bush was too close to it. Everyone was gathered near the gate on the right side of the house, but the gate on the left was wide open. Why? Ramona ran through the open gate on the left and saw everyone gathered under the swing set. She tried to focus and figure out what was happening. Suddenly she saw this long body with naked legs laying on the ground and EMTs working around him. An officer rushed towards her and told her to move away and let the medics do their job. She heard the AED and saw his body rise from the ground and slam back down. Her knees hit the ground, and from the depths of a place she never knew existed, she screamed, "No." As Sean's body continued going up and down, a million thoughts went through her mind. What was Sean doing outside? Did he fall? Was there an accident? As these thoughts were racing through the mind, she heard someone yell, "Heartbeat." The police officer again insisted she step further back so they could do their jobs. It then occurred to her that the toddler wasn't out there. Realizing that he wasn't outside, Ramona turned around to just see Maria running towards her. They both ran into the house with the officer right behind them. As Ramona turned the doorknob, it opened immediately. The door was unlocked. She ran forward and saw the Crocs upside down next to the two closed garbage bags on the floor that were ready to be taken out. She scanned the living room for her toddler and noticed two little legs hiding beneath a pile of laundry on their chair. She yelled his name, scooped him up, and he opened his eyes and started to cry. He was really limp, just out of it. He didn't seem like his normal self. Ramona ran to the front door. It was locked, as Maria had stated. They opened the door and ran outside to the front yard. She noticed a neighbour standing nearby with a landscaper. She ran up and yelled out, "What happened? Did you see what happened?" Her neighbour said no. She turned towards the landscaper, who mumbled, "I don't know him who did it." She ran over to the other neighbour on the other side, who was also mowing the grass, and he too said that he didn't see anything. How could all of her neighbours be outside doing yard work and not see anything? The fence is only 3 feet tall. No matter who she asked, nobody saw anything, nobody knew anything. One neighbour even had several cameras affixed to his house that pointed into her yard, but they were disconnected and hadn't been recording in years. Ramona's husband was in Williamsburg with their middle son at ABBA services, and at least 35 to 40 minutes away. Very clear to get that information across, that this is the stepdad, Ramona's husband. She needed help immediately, so she called her boss and told him that she thought Sean was dead, and he said he'd be right over. She called her husband Jared and could only say that Sean was hurt really bad and that they were trying to revive him. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He ran into the building, grabbed their son, and jumped in the car. Ramona watched as the ambulance with Sean pulled away. As they wouldn't let her ride with him, she hopped into the first responders' fire pickup truck and they began backing out into the road. As they pulled out, Maria's boyfriend AJ and his mum pulled up. AJ jumped out to console Maria and Jamie jumped out as well. She ran up to Ramona in the pickup and said, "What the fuck? Is he okay?" Ramona shook her head, no, and asked Jamie to stay with Maria, Vija, and the kids. Ramona asked the driver if he had an update on Sean, since the rig was far ahead of them, and he told her to have hope since they were able to get a few beats on the ground. Still in uniform, Ramona walked into the emergency room. They were expecting her. She was guided through a secure door down to where Sean was being worked on. There were nurses and doctors 3 rows deep in the hall, all watching and praying. A woman in scrubs fell to her knees in prayer, with tears falling down her face. The crowd parted all at once and turned towards her to make way for the physician to come out. She stepped back, shook her head, and just screamed, "No," as the physician informed her that Sean was gone.